Okay. So today I really want to talk about self-care and self-love. So uh, before I even went through any sort of cancer treatment, I was already kind of struggling with the way that my body looked. I think that all of us sort of struggle with this because um, societal norms of what beauty is supposedly supposed to be is like, be really skinny, and you have to be, not too skinny, but not too fat, and not to have perfect skin and perfect hair and perfect everything. Um, and we've just been fed this over and over for so long that we no longer really even understand what beauty is. Um, and so when I had started working at an office job, I was starting to gain weight. And so I was kind of getting frustrated. I was always asking I think he was my boyfriend at the time. I can't remember. Anyways, I was always asking, who is now my husband, Chris, do you still love me with my love handles? Like, are you okay with, this flab that I'm gaining or whatever? And I was just very insecure about it. And so I was really struggling with that right away, when I started to gain weight. And I know that I always, even in my younger years, I would have like little issues with little things on my body, like, oh, I don't like that I have a freckle here, or, I would get so specific about it. And it was just silly. And I realized how silly it was when I did go through cancer treatment and lost my hair for the first time. So what happened was my hair started to fall out during treatment in the hospital, and I knew it was going to. I was warned. So as soon as it started to fall out in clumps as I was washing my hair, I told my husband, I'm like, I think it's time to just shave it off. And so we borrowed a razor from the hospital because they have that kind of stuff in the cancer unit, and just shaved my head. And at first I was just kind of neutral to the whole thing. But I don't know, it just hit me like later that day or the next day or something when I was looking in the mirror and just seeing myself with no hair, just like a completely bald head. And I started crying, and I was like, it's just hitting me that I have no hair. And it was just, it was hitting me a lot harder than I thought it would. Because at that point I was kind of just like, I'm in survival mode, I'm going to get through this. But I was a lot more upset about not having hair. And then I proceeded to lose my hair several more times as I relapsed and had more treatments. And it still sucked, but it got kind of easier because I just like, okay, here we go again. Like, I'm shaving my head up and I shave my hair off. I'm shaving my hair off again. And, it was still really hard because I kept going through all of these changes. I was losing a little bit of weight, and I was gaining a little bit of weight. I was having hair, and then I was losing hair. And so I constantly had to keep finding ways to love my current self, to take care of my current self, to somehow see myself in the mirror when I looked at this person that looked nothing like the person that I had known before I started going through treatment. And then I went through a bone marrow transplant, which is something that you have to go through an even harder chemotherapy because they wipe out your entire immune system. So I lost my hair again for that. And then after that, I relapsed again. Well, my husband thinks I didn't relapse, but I do because I had these sarcomas all over my body. They basically were really painful lumps that were just supposedly leukemia hiding in different areas of my body that were just coming out of these lumps. So when that happened, I ended up going through one more round of really tough chemo to take care of those. And after that, after I kind of detoxed my body, went through the raw vegan retreat, and then I started having symptoms of something called graft versus host disease. And for those of you that don't know, if you get a bone marrow transplant, and maybe even other kinds of transplants, I'm not exactly sure, your body kind of, your new cells can sometimes, and actually more often than not, attack your current cells because it's just doesn't realize that it's in a new body that it needs to protect now. It just kind of realizes that this is like a foreign body, and so it starts to attack. So that's kind of what started happening while I was still out. I was still traveling at the time. And so I started to just get really frustrated because I couldn't eat anything and I had lost so much weight that I was like, at the time, I was only like 100 pounds or something. And so I knew I needed to gain weight, but I couldn't eat anything because my mouth started to have sores, which is one of the things that graft versus host does, is it causes sores in the mouth. And this was like my first big symptom. So we contacted my doctor and he said, okay, well, the fastest thing we can do is put you on high dose prednisone. And at the time I thought, okay, it's going to be like a short-term thing. And I didn't really look into it because I didn't think it would be a big deal. I figured I'd be on it short-term and then I could just get off. Well, that wasn't the case. And I should have looked into it. I should have researched it. So what ended up happening is that I had to stay on it long-term. So I think I was on it for about a year. And within 6 months, I went from 100 pounds to 170 pounds. I think 170 was the highest weight I was at. And prednisone causes something called a pregnant belly, which I still kind of have a little bit of. It's way better than it was, but I still kind of have that. And it causes something called moon face because your face puffs up so much. I was actually gonna find a picture from back then because I can't tell you how much my face has improved since then, but it used to be literally, I was like blown up like a balloon. My arms were blown up, my breast got huge, my stomach was bloated. Like I can't, I was, and prednisone also causes depression. So on top of already feeling really self-conscious and really having a hard time loving myself as this kind of like blown up balloon, I also just really struggled because I was so sad and I would have these like extreme lows where I would be like, and my husband was busy working and trying to pay for everything. So he didn't have time to come and sit with me and try to make me feel better. And luckily I had some wonderful friends and family that helped me get out of it, including, I'm just going to mention her name because she's amazing. My friend Monica, who I met at one of the cancer centers here. Well, I'm not going to say cancer center. It's more of a support place called Gildo's Club. But I met her there and she really talked me through all those really low places and got me to a place where I could keep on living because it was extremely difficult to deal with that. So the point of the story is that I really struggled to love myself for a really long time. And to be honest, it's not completely fixed yet. There's still days where I'm just like, who is that person in the mirror? But I've gotten so much better. Like I would say, 95% of the time I look in the mirror and I'm like, okay, this is just me. This is who I am. This is what I look like. It's okay. But I've also lost a lot of the face weight, like I said, and I'm able to move a lot more. The depression is gone. Like all that stuff that was happening to me on prednisone is just way better, which helps a lot with trying to find a way to find my new normal. And so once I figured out that it's okay to be where I'm at, I just felt a lot better, and I've been continuing to feel better about things. And of course, I still want to lose the weight and I want to feel better and look better, but I'm not like trying to race to do that, and I'm not going to cry about it every day like I was. So I just wanted to tell you that story because it's really important to be able to find a way to love yourself, because loving yourself comes along with being able to take care of yourself and being able to step in for yourself and do things and make choices that would bring you to a better place, whether it be mentally or health wise or whatever the case may be. So I wanted to talk about listening to your body. And the first thing I wanted to say is that you have to kind of advocate for yourself. And this is either in the medical field or in general. You just have to figure out what your body needs. And I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't know for the longest time what it meant to listen to your body. But when I was going through all of those treatments, and I had that really tough chemotherapy that almost killed me. And when I got done, my doctor said, I want you to go on this other chemotherapy that I like to call forever chemo, because it's basically something that you're just on until you die. Because she just thought that I was going to keep relapsing. And so there was just no other choice for me. And she said she did not want me to go on my trip, which is honestly the most life transforming trip I've ever been on, and don't regret it for anything. And she wanted me to stay at stay in Minnesota and start this treatment forever. And I finally just said, me and my body said no. Like, there's no way that I could handle this. There's no way that my body could handle this. So I just said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going on this chemo. I'm going to go on this trip. Now, that was the first time that I stepped up and said, I'm going to do something for myself. I'm going to do something for my body. And I'm just done listening to you. And that was also the day that I fired her, because she was completely unsupportive of what I really wanted to do. And this whole time I wanted to treat myself naturally. And this was the first time I was getting the chance to do it. And it worked. I've been in remission for almost 3 years now. And I know that I did the right thing for me. I did the right thing for my body. And now that I know how to really listen to my body, when I look back, I realize that was like my body screaming at me, like, you cannot do this anymore. Like, you need to stop. And so I did. And so then I want to just talk about truth testing your body. So let's say that when you wake up in the morning, the first thing that you should do to listen to your body, just close your eyes and say, hey, body, what is it that you need today? Or what is it that you want to do today? And a lot of times you can just get up and start going throughout your day, and you'll start getting some thoughts that will come into your mind. For me, a lot of the time, it's usually movement, like going for a walk or doing some yoga or stretching or things like that. Or maybe it'll just be as simple as like, take a shower today or wash your hair today or things like that. And it doesn't work for everyone. Like, sometimes the thoughts won't come, or you won't see anything, or you won't think you're seeing anything, but usually your body will try to tell you in some way what you need to do, or what it wants to do for the day, or what would be best for both of you. I like to think of the body as kind of a separate entity, but you're really one entity together. It's just you kind of have to talk to your body sometimes, because think about it, you're like a spirit inside of a body. And so you yourself, the spirit part, has to speak to the body part and talk to each other. So what I'm talking about is how the body speaks to you, the spirit. Excuse me. So another way to truth test your body and ask your body questions to figure out what it needs and what it wants. There's a couple of ways that I have gotten used to doing, and one of them is the sway test, and it's sort of like similar to muscle testing. So if any of you have heard of muscle testing or have a different way of doing this, you can do this. You can use that way as well. It works just as well. So I like to stand up, and I put my hands over my heart, and I close my eyes, and I say, hey, body, would you like a banana today? And if my body leans forward, it means yes. If my body leans back, it means no. And I've heard of this from a couple people now, that this is like the way to truth test for your body. One person was my mentor who taught me the healing modality that I currently do. And the other person was actually somebody that was certified in herbal medicine, like a holistic practitioner. He was the other person that told me about it. So it kind of validated for me that this is something that people do and it works for people. Again, it doesn't work for everyone. So try it out and see if it works for you. If you are looking for another way to kind of muscle test, you can look up ways to do it on YouTube or Google. So you don't only ask, like, do you want a banana? So let's say that you have two options for breakfast. Your options are banana and I don't know, cereal, let's say. So after you've asked if your body wants a banana and your body says no, you say, okay, body, would you prefer to have cereal? And then you can see if you're getting a yes or a no. If you get a no for both, and those are kind of your only options for breakfast, you can be like, okay, well, what else could I get you? What else would bring us more? And so once you have figured that out, this is another thing where a thought might come into your mind. Maybe they'll give you your body will give you another option by another thought coming through, or maybe a vision of something. And once that happens, then you can sort of figure out what your body requires for breakfast. So I kind of do that throughout the day to help make choices, but sometimes it can be very obvious. So like the other day I was really craving oranges, and I was just like, I wonder if my body needs like vitamin C or something, because I don't usually keep oranges around the house. They aren't my favorite fruit. So I was just kind of feeling into it, and it really seemed like my body wanted vitamin C, just some vitamin C. So instead of having an orange, I had a smoothie that had a lot of fruit in it that were high in vitamin C. Excuse me. So that's a really good way to just check with your body and see what it wants to eat. You can do the same thing with, it might seem kind of silly, but you can do the same thing with like clothing. If you go into your closet and you're just not sure what to wear, you can kind of do the truth testing with your body, do the sway test, and just kind of feel into it and say, hey, body, like, would this outfit be, or this shirt be good for me, and kind of hold it to you. And if you lean forward, it's yes, back, it's a no. Eventually, after you do this truth testing for a while, you'll start to feel what a yes or a no is. And so you won't necessarily have to do the swing as much anymore. But it does take a while, and there are days that I don't feel anything specific, so then I just go back to the swing. So it's a good tool to have in your toolbox. And the other thing is that you want to just see like what's going to bring you more for the day. And so you can just go, okay, body, what's going to bring us more today? You might get some ideas of things you need to do or things that you want to do. And maybe like you'll get an idea that you want to color or something silly like that. And you're like, oh, what's the point of that? But sometimes just having some fun is what is needed. It can help bring clarity. It can help release stress, things like that. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was self-care. So it's really important to take care of yourself, and truth testing with your body is going to help a lot, but also just paying attention to when your body requires rest or when your body requires movement, things like that, and actually doing it, taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, giving your body a detox when it needs it. A signs of your body needing a detox would be like maybe you're in a lot of pain, maybe you're having a lot of inflammation, your arthritis. If you have arthritis, it might be flaring. You could be feeling kind of sick, bloated, like those kinds of things. That would be a headache. That would be an indication that you probably need to do a detox. A couple of options for detoxing would be like you could juice. Some people do that, but I think that's usually a little bit extreme unless you're taking care of some sort of serious diagnosis. So my recommendation would be you could juice smoothies. I like to do a smoothie every morning, but some people will, when they're detoxing, they'll do smoothies all day long. Another option is eating really, really healthy. So I like to eat whole food, plant-based, no oil, no refined sugars, low salt, and no oil. And that will help your body detox from all the chemicals and all the junk that you eat on a normal basis. So that's one thing, is you could just cut out all of the processed foods. Some people just do that as a detox. So they'll get rid of everything except for like, well, like farm-raised meats and things like that. Just the meat though, like nothing processed, no sausages or deli meats or things like that. So they get rid of all of that stuff, and that can count as a detox as well. I think that it's really important to detox, like even if you aren't experiencing a lot of pain, it's good to detox once a year at least. If you are experiencing a lot of pain and a lot of inflammation, it's a good idea to detox like once a month. And if you have a serious diagnosis like I did, you're going to want to basically go into detox mode for, I don't know, as long as it takes to cure the diagnosis. And I would go further into that if I was working with any of you who may be going through something more serious like cancer or some other kind of autoimmune disease or anything like that. We could talk through what kinds of protocols you could do for a good detox to help heal yourself. So all of that is really important. If anyone has any questions about detoxing, or maybe you have a specific situation that you're dealing with, you can feel free to message me and I can give you some ideas and advice. And I just have to, oh my goodness, my throat is not working with me today. Sorry about that. I really feel that I could help figure out the best protocol for you depending on what you're dealing with. However, I do have to say as a disclaimer, I'm not a doctor and I can't replace what a doctor would do, but I could definitely help, and I'm here to help. So lastly, I just wanted to say that it's really important that you understand that resting is actually doing something. So a lot of people get caught up in the whole idea that if you're resting, you're not doing anything. You know what? I think I got that growing up or something, like maybe a parent or a family member like would say, get off your butt and go do something. And when I was a child, I may have been being lazy. I don't really know. But as an adult, when your body needs rest, right? So if you're sick or if you're not feeling great, don't push yourself to go and do all the things, because your body actually does need to rest. Let's say you didn't sleep at all the night before, you might just need to lay around for the day and relax and de-stress and, I don't know, read a book or watch a TV show or whatever it is. And that's perfectly okay. It doesn't mean that you're not doing anything. Your body requires rest, so you're giving your body rest. And that's just as important as anything else you could be doing. I know it doesn't seem like it, no, but it's true. Resting is doing something, right? Okay, so after my whole big long spiel, I didn't think it would take that long, and I apologize for my throat. But I'll pull some cards for you now. So I'm just gonna pull these for the group for now, and like I said, if you're interested in a card pull, just write me a message in the chat and I will pull a card for you as soon as I'm off the live, or later on if you're on the replay. All right, so this is my Spirit Animal Oracle deck, and it's one of my favorites. All right, so the first card I have pulled for you guys is the Swan Spirit, and it says, time for a deep dive. And intuitively, I'm getting from that card is, since kind of what we've been talking about is self-love and self-care, it's just time to really dig in and figure out what your body actually requires and actually needs. One thing that's coming up for me right now too is, so my mentor, she talks about like fast food. So sometimes your body actually requires fast food, and I'm not going to say it does all the time because it's really not good for you. But she was saying that, you know, sometimes if your body's kind of like asking for a hamburger, something from McDonald's, that sometimes your body just needs that to slow down. And so what I mean by that is when you're kind of spiritually accelerating, you're spiritually able to accelerate that quickly, but your body is not. It's like a little slower process. So sometimes what happens is if you're accelerating too quickly and your body kind of needs a little rest, it will really crave something that will slow the process down a little bit. So it'll slow you down so that it can catch up, if that makes sense. And I found that really interesting. So I, as a lot of you know, I eat plant-based, so I wouldn't eat a hamburger, but I definitely will occasionally crave like vegan junk food. And so what's really important when that happens is to, again, really truth test. So do the sway test if you need to, or kind of like feel into it. Like, do you really need that? Because sometimes there is a difference between like a craving or, you know, an actual need. So it kind of just depends where you're at. Oftentimes I will, if my body is craving something like what I'm just going to call kind of crappy, I will truth test to see if it actually requires that. And most of the time it's a no. Most of the time it's just that for whatever reason I need some extra salt or something, in which case I'll just have some electrolytes or whatever. But other times, yeah, occasionally your body actually does want and require that. And what's interesting, how you'll know like if your truth testing was on or not, is if you decide to go and have that burger or whatever it is that you're craving, or your potato chips or whatever, and you go and have that thing, and then you feel crummy afterwards, that means that your body actually didn't require it. But if you feel good afterwards, that's an indication that the truth testing was on. So I don't know, I found that interesting, so I thought I'd share. All right. Let's see what we've got. Let's see what we've got for the group here. Ooh, that one popped up. That was the swan spirit again. I'm gonna put that one to the side, but obviously that one's an important one. I'm trying to think. So yeah, I just keep getting like deep dive into what you actually want. So that could be, okay, so now I'm getting like, it doesn't always have to be about your health. It can be about what you actually want in your life. Is another way to take care of yourself, is to step into who you are. So start to think about what it is that you actually want. So do you really love the job that you're in right now? And do you want to do something different? Do you, like, what would be your dream? Do you have any big goals or dreams that you're trying to get to that you need to figure out what your next step is, like that kind of thing. This is another favorite thing of mine to dive into, because I went to school for career counseling, and what I wanted to do with that degree was to help people find their passion. It was really hard to find a job where that was kind of what you do. So my first job in career counseling was actually helping people just get any job, because they were all low income. A lot of them were homeless. And so I was helping them get jobs and we would give them, there's a program where we gave them a house, and like the first month was free, but then it would like go up slowly. So the rent would go up slowly. And so they would have to get a job and try to figure out how to pay the rent to keep their house. So that was where I ended up, but that's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to help people find their passion and take steps to get there. So this is another thing that if you want to send me a private message, I'd be happy to do a little bit of message coaching for you on that. Okay, so the Sonic card's out of there now. So we'll see what else comes up here. That's so interesting that popped out twice. I've never really had that happen. Okay. Well, here we go. Okay, so this is the koi fish. And it says, There's always enough. So with this one, what I'm getting with this one is it's kind of about being grateful for what you have and living in the idea of abundance rather than the idea of lack. So I've had to do this a lot at the grocery store because my husband is always telling me that he wants me to like decrease the amount of groceries that I buy, which I have been working on. But every time I'm at the store, when I go to like, let's say I go to buy something, I'm like, oh yeah, I need that thing, but it wasn't on my list. I start to feel guilty almost immediately. And so what I've been doing in the grocery store is I've been like, okay, it's okay for me to get what I need. I'm okay. There's enough, like I have to remind myself that it's okay. I can get what I need. Everything's all right, So anytime that your brain kind of goes to that state of lack, you can kind of reframe it in a way that makes sense. I was just talking to another mentor recently. He was talking about this jacket that was really expensive that he wanted, but he thought it was really cool, but it was like $600. And he was like, it's not that I can't afford the jacket, it's that I don't think it's worth it. It's not worth that amount to me. So he was saying like I would maybe pay half that for that jacket, so that kind of thing. Like he wasn't saying I can't afford that jacket. He was just saying, I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth that price. So that was kind of a little money and abundance for you this morning. All right, let's see what else. I usually like to pull 3 or 4 cards. All right. Ooh, fun. Okay, this one is the frog spirit. Another really fun card. Clear out the clutter. Oh, I love that one. Okay, so clearing out clutter is super important. And I don't know if you guys have felt this or know this, but clutter usually causes just more stress. And when I was growing up, I didn't really understand that. And you could ask my parents, my room was always a disaster. I had clothes everywhere, like you really but pretty much could never see my floor. Like it was always covered with clothes and all sorts of other junk. But now it's so funny now that I'm an adult and I'm married and living in my own house. Like now I'm kind of like I'm much more cognizant of that feeling, and so I make sure that I clear everything and I take care of all the clutter. And I almost can't stand being in a room that's cluttered anymore. Like it bothers me. So like if I let a room get cluttered for a day, I'll leave it be if I need to rest. But then like it's probably the next day I'm like, okay, I gotta declutter everything. So that's really important. Also, I just want to mention this is almost another like abundance type of thing. So you guys must need to hear this as well. Starting to go through like each room and like picking a drawer to go through every day and just getting rid of everything you do not require anymore. You do the Marie Kondo thing and say, what brings me joy, what doesn't, and get rid of everything that doesn't, whatever works for you. But getting rid of things that you no longer need makes space for new things. And this means like on an energetic level, but also a physical level. So like once you've cleared out your drawer and you've gotten rid of all the things you don't need anymore, you've gotten all organized and pretty, you're making space in your life for new things. So a lot of times if you're somebody like me who likes to work on manifesting things into my life, I'm opening up doors just by cleaning my house and getting rid of things I no longer need or no longer use or no longer bring me joy, whatever those things are. Like I can bring more into my life that way. But also, like in a physical sense, you're making space for new things that you actually do need or new things that actually do make you happy or actually do bring you joy, right? So I challenge you to go and clean out a drawer today. Also make it really small. Take one drawer, clean out a drawer. It's a good start. Okay. Lastly, we have the wolf spirit. Another gorgeous fun card. Turn knowledge into wisdom. Interesting. So I think this one is sort of saying like what do you already know? Okay, yeah. So what do you already know? And what can you do to bring that to the world? So what is something that you're passionate about, something that you know a lot about? How can you share that information with the world? It kind of reminds me of this other card from a different deck called the Wise Leader. It sort of reminds me of that card because it's like you are the wise leader, right? You know something that somebody else doesn't know. There's always something that you know that someone else doesn't know. So how can you bring that to the world? Like that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm trying to share my knowledge with the world and turn it into wisdom, I guess. Like I know what that card is saying. All right. Well, I have spent about an hour on this call. So I just wanted to hop on and say hi to everybody. And I'm so glad that you were here to be here for Tea and Talk. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.